Hi, welcome. I am Dr. Wendy Schofer. I am a pediatrician specializing in eating disorder prevention and helping parents create lifelong relationships with food, body, self, and family. And I had the pleasure of writing a recent article that I submitted to SoMe that is being published, and it's called "It's Not About the Crinkly Bags, It's About Our Stress." And I would love to walk through this with you, kind of like a little mini journal club, if you will. The article that I wrote was actually in response to a recent Atlantic article called Avoiding Ultra Processed Foods is Completely Unrealistic, Especially If You Have Kids by Olga Kazan. And I got to tell you, when I read that, I was like, yep, this is what we're going through right now. Like, this is completely describing the experience that our families have, and specifically that of parents. And so, what I am experiencing so often is people think that I work with food. People think that I have conversations all day long about weight. And at the heart of everything that I do, it's actually about receiving stories about stress. Parents are stressed. Parents are just maxed out all day long. Whether it's with managing meals and health and jobs and relationships, there's just so much pulling them in different directions all day long. And then our kids are stressed too. Our kids, we often call their stress anxiety. And so it's kind of like this hum, this theme that's running throughout our homes all the time. But I bring it back to that because when our brains are stressed, we turn very quickly to black and white thinking. So I describe the stress cycle all the time. And this is a little bit more than I actually put into the article, but you're here for this. So if you think about the classic stress cycle, when we are stressed, we start having physiologic changes. We start our heart starts beating and getting adrenaline coursing through our vessels, muscles get tense, and of course, our emotions turn on, usually fear. And then we just discharge that energy, whether we are fleeing, we're fighting, maybe we're fawning. So you hear about the fear, flight, fight, fawn, all the F's that we can't even mention here. And then you get away, you get back to safety. You are welcomed into the village to be able to hear folks say, hey, you're safe, come eat, and you get to live to see another day. And the thing is that today, we don't have that nice, clean stress cycle. We are under chronic stress because instead of the stressor being maybe a saber-toothed tiger, now our stressor is these things. We've got phones, we've got expectations, we've got deadlines, a lot of things that are between our ears, and we can't outrun them because these stressors are just there in the background nonstop. They still have the same impact on our bodies. We're still getting our blood pressure elevation. I know my my shoulders go up real high. And the thing is that we are having a really hard time right now being able to get back to that place where we feel safe because we're always getting the message of you are under threat. Well, when we're under threat, our brains go right back to this is either safe or unsafe, healthy or unhealthy. Mm, black and white. That black and white thinking is a survival mechanism. It's a way for us to just quickly kind of see the fork in the road and be able to choose which way are we going. And that is something that came up loud and clear as I was reading the Atlantic article and with our approach to ultra processed foods right now. So we just moved forward many eons here from that classic stress cycle with the saber-toothed tiger to today with ultra processed foods. And there's such an experience that we're having right now where it's like, well, you're either eating good, you're doing good, you're eating the clean foods, you've removed all of this ultra processed food from your diet, or that's it, you just give in. There's nothing else to do here. You failed. And unfortunately, what happens is we are just so stressed that we just see it one way or the other. And so either comparing the pictures of perfection and the idealized meal plans and the diets, so the ways of eating that have a name to them, and either that or else you've just kind of thrown it in. And I think that this is a big part of what we have to just notice right now, that with the stress that we're experiencing, it's such a black and white type of picture. And a lot of people will offer that, well, that there's, you just eat in moderation. But, the thing is, we don't really know what that means. And I mean, how do you actually teach a child how to eat in moderation? That's kind of saying, here's black, here's white. You got to pick the perfect shade of gray. And so it's hard when we're living in this stressed environment and to be able to really sort that out. And so I think that the real alternative is not to say you have to figure out you're going with this black, this white, but really start slowing things down. And the work that I do with parents always starts off with a pause, a breath. And it's actually a physiologic change to be able to start slowing down. Everything is going full speed into must survive this moment. And it is giving that opportunity to, yes, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, decrease the blood pressure, give a little bit of distance from the threat, and then be able to start making decisions. Start being able to perhaps see nuance or to be able to have a deeper understanding of what is actually going on in the moment when you're trying to make these black or white types of decisions. And I think that ultimately, the article talks about how we have such a focus on convenience right now with the way that we are under so much stress. Stress is our experience right now. And of course, when we are experiencing stress, we just want to survive to the next day and we want to make it as easy as possible. So there's a lot of convenience seeking. It feels like it's the answer in the moment. However, notice how ultra processed foods are also totally those foods of convenience. Totally convenience. And so just noticing how this all fits together. Now, there's a couple of things that I like to encourage parents to start thinking about. Really start thinking about, okay, this is where we are right now. This is the experience. Take that pause, give that little bit of space, and then start asking, okay, hold on a minute. What is it that I actually want more of? Which is a very different question from what is it that I want less of? What is it that I want to escape from? What is it that I actually want to escape to? What is it perhaps that I can let go of? Expectations, those different stressors that are out there, how can I make them less stressful for me? And then also, what is it that I can do to care for myself so that I can then care for my family? These are not quick, simple, convenient questions to ask. But that's also why we're taking the moment here, the pause, to be able to say, hey, hold on a minute, what's really going on? And what do I really want? This is part of the bigger, deeper conversation that we need to have. And then I've ended the article with something that was encapsulated by the comedian Jimmy Carr. So I was introduced to him earlier this year, and he was asked by someone in the audience about what he would tell parents about raising toddlers. And he brought it down to two words, and he said, prioritize later. And I was like, oh my goodness, this man has the concise answer for what I've been saying all this time. We are in a mode right now where we are experiencing so much stress, so much of the fires that we're putting out, but also just the emotions that we're experiencing while our kids are experiencing theirs. And so we often turn to food, perhaps to electronics, things that will console and to soothe and to simmer things down right now. And in the words of Jimmy Carr, if we were to prioritize later, how does that shift the decision that you make right there in that moment? From that consoling to this is actually what I want my child to learn for the long haul. Maybe this is the decision, the choice, maybe it's in food, that I make right now that actually benefits me for the long haul, not just for right now. So these are much bigger questions and much bigger conversations that we get to have beyond just saying, ultra processed foods are here to stay. I'm never going to make it any other way when I have all my kids running around. No, let's acknowledge the amount of parental stress and that it doesn't have to be perfect. It never has been, it never will be. And we can start making that path of, well, what is it that I want to do? How do I want to raise my family amidst all of this right now? So thanks so much. I do welcome your input. What is it that you're seeing as you're reading the articles? What is it that you're experiencing in your life? And please, I would love to hear from you.